Tonight, we head to Legacy Atlanta Motor Speedway for what's expected to be a battle of which drivers can save the tires the best, which drivers can get the fuel mileage right, and which drivers can conquer Hot Atlanta. Tonight, it's the SSRL Truck Series, and it's here on Grid Vision. Good evening, everyone. Justin Prince, Nick Stein, Austin Derbyshire producing as we get set for 100 laps here from Hampton, Georgia. This racetrack expect to be an interesting one tonight. Already lots of discussions on how this race is going to play out. What do you say about tonight for these trucks?
Oh, yeah, I talked to a ton of drivers tonight, and they're all saying pretty much the exact same thing. This is going to be a very unpredictable race with the tire wear. I'm hearing a lot of drivers saying it's going to be top dominant because to start the run, the truck is just way too loose to be able to run the bottom consistently. And then as the run goes on, they're getting too tight to run the bottom. So I really do think tonight will be top dominant. We're going to be seeing a lot of people up by that wall. And of course, it's going to be a fuel mileage race. We're already seeing people start to clutch in. Atlanta always seems to be a fuel mileage race tonight, or excuse me, always seems to be a fuel mileage race, so we'll have to see how it all plays out tonight.
Yeah, lots of drivers already testing it, especially one of the newcomers tonight, Timothy Latham, set to make his first start. Blair Hyman, meanwhile, he's yet to win this season, but he is the points leader. 22 points ahead of Brendan Edstrom. Edstrom gained 2 spots after what happened to Raymond Root in the late stages at Kentucky. He dropped back to 3rd. Kendall Levron inside the top 4. Mike Burnett also dropping to the edge of the top 5, 47 points back. Dave Foods Jr., B.B. Henry rounding out the top 7. Tanner Marty, Robbie Owens Jr., and Christopher Burnham inside the top 10. It was an interesting one last week, to say the very least, and not the prettiest for some of those involved in some of the dropbacks and points. But today's a new week. It's the second half of the season, mind you, starting today. And in turn, lots to talk about when it comes to the upcoming week in and of itself here on Grid Vision. So far, we've already had Talladega for Grid Vision Super Speedways, and Kentucky getting its stop and champion action. Then there's here tonight at Atlanta. But don't forget, later in the week, 2 different races. The Major Series its finale at Silverstone, the British GP. That starts at about 9 p.m. Eastern Time with quali. Then at Iowa, it's the Chase with the Kyle Class Cup. It's RGR on Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Grid Vision. It's still, when it comes to the majors, still a couple total races when you consider the big picture of things. But there's plenty to talk about tonight. Already coming up to the closing of the drivers' meeting tonight. Drivers getting ready for their groups of 3 to decide how the running order plays out tonight. Your thoughts on what we expect to see from these drivers tonight in turn?
Again, I said it earlier, it's going to be a top dominant. In terms of qualifying, though, I'm not 100% sure how this is all going to play out. I think we'll see a mix of different things happening, people trying different lines. I wasn't able to hop in and see many qualifying laps, so I'm kind of going into this blind, but like I said, fuel mileage race tonight, tire saving is going to be of utmost importance.
So with that, the drivers' meeting coming to a close. Again, the group settled by practice times. Every driver in session tonight did practice. 19 entries, 20 if you include the choose cone car. But the choose cone car doesn't get to qualify, does it not? So here's how the groups are set up. Austin Runco, Tanner Marty, Corey Harville. Then it'll be Dave Foods Jr., Charles Abert, Kendall Levron, Robbie Owens Jr., Corey Saucier, Blair Hyman, Brendan Edstrom, Mike Burnett, Christopher Burnham, Timothy Latham, Raymond Root, Thomas Wolf, Scott Healy, Ken Soziak, P.B. Henry, and Nathan Nixon. And his first start of the season would be amongst those on how they would line up. Should say 3rd start for Nixon, but it's been a few weeks. All the way back from Kansas, in fact. So the group's just getting sorted out here. So Ronco the last in the practice with a 31.9. But that gives him a fresh racetrack to lead off the group. 2 laps to set a qualifying time per group here.
I do think we'll see a lot of second lap qualifying tonight. Atlanta is one of those tracks where you have to build your momentum, especially in the truck, and it being Ultra Atlanta as well. It is going to be a second lap qualifying fest for these guys out there. I mean, we saw it last week at Kansas. It was also second lap qualifying, but it is of utmost importance here to get that momentum set up for that second lap and get that fast lap going. But I do expect times to be, I would expect somewhere in the 30.6, 30.5 range would be where a lot of the fast guys are going to be tonight. So we'll have to see how this plays out. But setting up for an interesting session here.
We're just waiting for the go-ahead at this point. Jordan Sailors is giving the command. Austin Runkle is clear to hit the racetrack, and we're underway for the qualifying session. Austin Runkle, the first of those drivers, since his fourth start of the season, 2 straight DNFs, including a controversial one at Kentucky. He was involved in the contact with Raymond Root, and it looks like he's playing the keep the tires cool method here. Wasn't expecting this from the 18 truck. We were expecting this from a Coke driver, usually, at this track.
Oh, man, that one gave me a pretty good chuckle. But I was down there talking to the Backroad Bandit racing crew, and they were really talking about how they wanted to play qualifying out. And it really seemed like they were going to go heavy on the second lap qualifying, as I expected most everyone to do. So Runkle coming to his first lap here. Of course, I don't think this is going to be a very competitive lap time, but we'll have to see how that second lap goes for him.
And keep in mind, there's a very big difference on how there's approaches here. Middle line for Runkle, Tanner Marty for reference with full tilt on the outside wall. In 3 and 4, coming up to start his lap. So his 29 truck second on track, one of the Nitro Racing back machines. The other driver again in this respective group is Corey Harville, who already has a half a track to work with before he takes his green flag. There he goes.
Here comes Runkle off of 4. First benchmark time, 36.4. Of course, not expected to be that competitive, but again, it's the first lap here, so we'll have to see what his second lap shows. 31.3 for Tanner Marty. And of course, Corey Harville coming through turns 3 and 4 now. We'll have to see what this 14 truck sets for his first lap, but a lot of variation in time so far to start.
And a very interesting difference in throttle movements here worth noting. That time by no time being put on the board from Harville. But Austin Runkle coming to the checker flag didn't crack above 175 miles an hour the whole lap. 34.4. And Tanner Marty puts up a 31.1. In fact, it was slower by a thousandth of a second nearly. In fact, the difference, a couple tenths rather. Thank you, iRacing Dominant Scoring, for the differential. Checker flag. And the reason Corey Harville didn't get laps put up, guess who didn't notice? He had a blend penalty. Truck 14, congratulations. You've got a black flag on an unsafe pit exit.
Unfortunate there, but it is iRacing, and you cannot cross that white line no matter how badly you want to. Of course, they can in real life, but unfortunately unable to do that in iRacing. Next group to hit the track, Dave Fuge in the 11 car, Charles Abert in the 07, and Kendall Leverin in the 28 will be our second qualifying group for tonight. Of course, Dave Fuge had that quite interesting week, to put it nicely, last week at Kentucky, so we'll have to see if he can come back from what happened, all that entire hornet's nest that he was in last week.
Dave Fuge Jr., mind you, 6th in the point standings entering tonight. The boss man coming off a 13th place after a stretch of 4 straight top 5s. Already building up speed on the top line. Also in this group, as mentioned, Charles Abert. He's still trying to build up his speed in the 07. And Kendall Leveron, a full lap behind, is now just hitting the track. We'll see what happens, though, with the 14 truck as he looks up to build up the speed. Remember, 2 tenths picked up from Tanner Marty from this same method. No black flags for unsafe entries or exits. It's Dave Fuge Jr. with a 31.5, 2 tenths slower on the warm-up.
Of course, he was probably trying to build that momentum up a little bit more than what Tanner Marty was able to do. But of course, second lap is the most important lap. And honestly, I'm sitting here looking, these qualifying times are a little bit slower than what I was expecting. Charles Abert, though, 31.3 on his first lap.
That's around the same range as Marty. Kendall Leveron still has to make his way around the full track. He's 4th in the points after back-to-back top 10 runs. 5th at Kentucky, in fact. 2-time runner-up this season at Richmond, at Charlotte. Atlanta. Can this be the time he breaks forward for a win? This time by Lebron, 31-4. Checker flag for the 07 already, a 31-3. Dave Foods Jr. already put up a 31 flat to round out the grouping for its times outside of Lebron. Remember, Lebron still in the second as he missed the initial call to hit the track.
Going all the way down to the white line there in 3 and 4. A little bit of a risky call, but it seems to be working off of 4. Kendall Leveron coming up to the line. He's going to set a 30.979 top of the boards for the 28 truck.
Does that stick is the question. That time would put him in the top 5 in final practice just about. However, Rabios Jr. is the next to hit the racetrack. He's in the 83 truck once more, 9th in the point standings. And his 6 starts. Interestingly enough, so far, the 83 won top 10 the whole season so far, but he's been consistently amongst those just outside the top 10 in the races to get the points, to be in the top 10.
Yeah, he's had a very consistent season. Of course, we've seen a couple champions in other leagues and even in real life that have won championships purely off of consistency. Of course, other two in this group, Corey Saucier in a 33, working on starting his lap. Blair Holloman is in this group as well, working on coming back onto the track. But watching Corey Saucier as he starts his first lap here. Again, not expected to be a competitive lap as everyone's just trying to build their momentum up, but I've been proven wrong before. We'll have to see what everyone decides to do here.
These are all teammates, by the way, in this qualifying group on the racetrack. So we'll see which one of the teammates for Zoo Oats Racing gets the upper hand. Rabios coming across the line. Starts with a 31-4. Corey Saucier making his way across the line this time by. 33 takes his white flag this time by. 31-2 to start. That's the quickest first lap of them all. Is that too quick? Blair Hoyman is also taking his way through the corner. The Pennsylvania driver on his first lap, a 31.165. He's got the pace with the quickest first lap outside now. Already Saucier, he's lost it in the 33. He has to pull out. And Rabios Jr., he's also lost it. So now it's Hoyman, the only driver left to try and attempt the second lap.
Coming through turns 3 and 4 here. That truck getting a little bit squirrely. Keep it straight there, Holloman. You'll have a quick lap here. Coming across the line. 0.71. That'll put him in 3rd position for that 10 truck.
He's at an average start inside the top 10 most of the season. Now, Hoyman is in a decent spot to do so again. 2nd place at Kentucky. He was very close to getting his first win of the year just last week. Now back to the next group. It's Brandon Edstrom who leads things out. He's up to 2nd in the points after a 4th place run at Kentucky. He was the winner at Kansas. He's with Mike Burnett and Christopher Burnham. So one of the Prodigy machines, 2 of the back row bandits.
Edstrom coming off of, I believe this is turn 4. Yep, turn 4. Didn't quite catch where he was off to start his first lap. See what he can do here. Of course, we saw the last group in the Yost Racing machines. They did their first laps, or they did first lap qualifying, and put them towards the back of the time drivers so far. So I think that shows everyone that it's not worth it to do the first lap qualifying and go with the second lap. So I wouldn't expect many other people to do that first lap strategy. So we'll have to see who does what. But as I said, expecting a lot of second lap qualifying.
Been the trend throughout the day. 179, 80 miles an hour towards the flag stand, though. That's one of the higher miles per hour at the stripe for the qualifying so far. And Edstrom's able to stick near the white line. That's one of the better efforts so far this session, too.
Headed down into turn 3. He's going to want to arc it down, use the momentum of the truck, use anything you can do to get this truck to turn. Coming off of turn 4, it looks like a pretty clean 3 and 4 here. Coming up towards the line. Brandon Edstrom sets a 30.904 top of the boards for the 74 truck.
That would be 3rd quickest in final practice. That's how quick that time is. Already, the air drivers getting grouped together. 2nd of Burnett, already closing the 31 flat. This is Chris Burnham. Can he find his way up front? He jumps to the top of the board, the quickest time of the day overall, 30.864.
Oh my goodness, that is an absolute heater right there from the 93 of Christopher Burnham. As you said, fastest lap of the day. Wow.
No one topped that in final practice with or without draft. And that sets a tall order for the rest of the order. Timothy Latham, Raymond Root, Thomas Wolfe in this pack. Now for Timothy Latham, this is a name that is familiar, especially for series like Winsdale, for example. He's one of its top runners for parts of the years. Tonight, he looks to drive his trucky truck for Flashpoint. He's the teammate today in this respective race to Kendall Levron. And now he looks to show what he can do. He's the 005 in sim. He's the 6 on the truck. He's grouped with Raymond Root, coming off a drop to third in the points for Prodigy Esports, and Thomas Wolfe, who recently joined Back Road Bandit Racing, and again, one of the rising stars in RGR this season.
I tell you what, that last group with how fast those times were for all three trucks, that's going to tell everyone something. The later you run in qualifying here, the faster you're going to be. Timothy Latham with a 31.131 on his first lap. And he's going to run the top again, it looks like. Raymond Root with the 176. Let's see what Thomas Wolfe runs here as he's getting ready to jump up off of turn 4 here. Coming off of turn 4. 31.110. That's going to be the fastest of the group for the first lap.
So we'll see what happens here. Some of this coming down to the pit box location. 30.9 on the second lap for Latham. Here comes Root. Raymond Root. Can he challenge for the pole? He almost gets there. He gets the outside pole of 30.8. Meanwhile, here comes the run for Thomas Wolfe. He was also in the 31.1s on lap 1. Nearly spins it around. It's a 30.9 up in the top 5 with a couple groups to go.
We have 4 drivers left to qualify, and I'm curious if they're going to send all 4 out at once. I don't think they will. But the last grouping is going to be Scott Healy, Kevin Zosiak, and PB Henry for the group of 3. And, of course, Nathan Nixon with the fastest time of practice.
So it looks like they are, yes, it looks like Corey Harville's getting a chance to requalify here. Remember, he had the blend wine penalty, so it looks like race control is allowing him, at least it glances to be, a chance to go again. They have confirmed it. Scott Healy and Kevin Zosiak are in this group. Now for Harville, this is the second run. But for Scott Healy, it's his first ever start in the series. How new? He forgot to put on the banner.
Rookie mistake there from the 64, but he looks to be pretty fast. But the 4th fastest time up in practice, he was only a hundredth of a second off the fastest time. So 64 truck definitely looking quick here.
And Kevin Zosiak rounds out this respective group. Kevin Zosiak's 3rd quickest in final practice. It's a solid run for the old Ladybug. White flags waving already in the group.
I was going to say, I know Kevin Zosiak pretty well, and he loves Atlanta. I talked to him a couple of times. He said it doesn't matter which Atlanta it is. He really likes this place. But looking on board of Kevin Zosiak right now, I think he's coming to finish his first lap right now. Gonna set a 31.356 here. Harville coming to finish his second lap. 30.961. That'll put him up there towards the front. Looking for Scott Healy coming off of turn 4. Through the trial he comes. 39.65, 1,000th of a second off of Corey Harville. And now we wait for Kevin Zosiak, who just dove it down into turn 3, coming off of turn 4. That 37 Rose Machine's going to hit the wall off of turn 4. That'll invalidate his second lap.
Yes, indeed it does. Kevin Zosiak not able to improve on lap 2. So that leaves just 2 trucks to go. That leaves Philip Henry and Nathan Nixon. Now Henry, he's been strong all season. 7th in the points coming in. He's finished inside the top 10 2 of the past 3 races and 3 of the past 4. He also has an average start inside the top 7. He set the pole at Daytona. His other opponent, though, Nathan Nixon. Nixon hasn't started in a few weeks. He did get a top 10 at Kansas. His best start of the season, a 9th place start at Kansas, where he led just 1 lap.
Nathan Nixon did look fast at Kansas, as you said, leading the 1 lap, and that 92 truck, he is definitely showing out here at Atlanta, definitely showing these boys he's ready to play. Watching Philip Henry, though, as he is coming off of turn 2 here for his first lap.
Turn 4, he's the teammate to Kevin Soziak. So the Legacy Academy driver, a 31.3 to start, one of the slower first lap warm-ups. That was a response cut from Nixon. Nathan Nixon from the state of California. Long-time sim racer. 31.5 on the first lap. Henry taking a very wide arc here on both entries. Is that going to hurt him? Here it is at the stripe. PB Henry, 31 flat. That's only 9th best. Nathan Nixon, a different approach. He went quickly down. Doesn't go all the way up. This looks solid on the exit. What's the time? Not good on the time. Both of them struggle to get up to speed. And in turn, that cost them. They both start in the back half, or if not in the middle of the field here, Nick.
Yeah, that's going to be the hornet's nest tonight, especially it being Atlanta. Passing's going to be hard, and we're going to see these guys fighting tooth and nail for every position. Of course, track position is going to be absolutely key for these guys tonight, and Christopher Burnham in the 93 truck's going to have the best of the best tonight as he starts pole.
Indeed he does. It's his first pole of the season, in fact. And with that, qualifying, it's basically come to a close here. Just waiting for the word for drivers to be able to advance and for the all clear from all camps before we get underway for this 100-lapper from the legacy version of Atlanta Motor Speedway. So with that, the track order being set up here, you have Burnham going to have the clean air to start things off. He's the first of the points, mind you, of the 4 race starters on the season. Everyone behind him has 3 or less outside of a couple drivers. Do you think he's going to have a chance, or rather, do you see him as the one taking his second win of the season tonight?
I definitely see Burnham up there in terms of favorites for tonight. He is one of the faster trucks tonight. Of course, he put it on the pole tonight, so he's definitely going to be up there in the eyes of a lot of people tonight. But of course, you got to look at that Prodigy Esports camp. They're always fast, they're always consistent, and they're always up front. Of course, Raymond Root, Brandon Edstrom starting 2nd and 3rd. But I'm going to take you with my pick. I'm going to go ahead and take Corey Harville here. He has been a very consistent truck driver over the last few weeks, and he's looking to show out tonight.
Let's take a look at the starting order once again. We'll go through it. Christopher Burnham, Raymond Root on the front row, Brandon Edstrom, Thomas Wolf on the second row. Then it's Timothy Latham and Corey Harville, Scott Healy and Kendall Levron, PB Henry and Mike Burnett. Decide the top 10 for this one, Nick.
Dave Fuge is going to start 11th in the 11 truck. How perfect is that? Blair Holloman starting 12th position. Tanner Marty taking up 13th with Nathan Nixon in 14th. Corey Saucier is going to start 15th tonight. Charles Abert 16th. Kevin Zoziak 17th. Rob Yost Jr. starting 18th. And Austin Runkle starting shotgun on the field in 19th position tonight.
That's all touch upon with the running order. And once again, Jordan Sailors gets to be the honorable choose cone. See how many times he's utilized tonight, or if he manages to blow up the choose cone car again. So now, your keys to win this race tonight, what are they and why?
Oh, of course, you got to save the tires. Atlanta, especially the old scan of Atlanta, is known for eating the tires up. So these drivers have to focus on saving as much tire as they can over the run. And of course, keep that track position. Track position is going to be of utmost importance tonight. I said it a couple of times already tonight. Track position is everything, especially at a track that's going to be as top dominant as Atlanta is going to be tonight. And then finally, you got to avoid the chaos. Atlanta, in the truck, it's known for being chaotic. These drivers know what they're getting into, and they know what's going to happen tonight if they don't get it sorted out very quickly. So that's going to be my third key, is just avoid the chaos tonight, and I think these guys are going to have a great race.
You already hinted on your possible picks here. The Prodigy Machines, Burnham up there. Who else do you think could have the speed to be able to find their way up front at the right time and get the win here in Atlanta with 3 tire sets available, mind you?
You know, I really like the 91 of Thomas Wolfe. He's been showing out recently. Of course, at Kansas, he looked like he had the pace, and then unfortunately got caught up in a couple of wrecks right after the start of the stage, or excuse me, the start of stage 2, and just wasn't able to get back up there. I really like the way that 91 looks, and we'll have to see what he's able to do tonight, but I would definitely keep an eye out for him tonight.
You want my pick? I was thinking 91 possibly with the long run speed he's picked up as a late. But to be different, why don't we go with Timothy Latham? Why not be surprising? Because Timothy Latham does have some decent speed. He is an interesting character in top split action, I will say, but when he keeps it clean, he does have pace. I know I say that for a fair amount of drivers, but that's honestly the truth. When he keeps it clean, he can run up front. And our producer pick, by the way, for reference, is Blair Hoyman from 12th position, expecting him to slice through the field. With that, we're just about set to go racing 100 laps on the docket for the SSRL Truck Series. We're glad to have you with us from Atlanta Motor Speedway. We're underway from Atlanta.
Oh, man, already some wheel spin. Thomas Wolfe getting all sorts of out of shape there.
Oh, and Austin Runkle's in the grass as well. No caution, we stay green. Runkle spins it in the pit lane. And already here in contact for Blair Hoyman. Several apologies over the radio already. All while the fight for the lead already is on. Burnham tries to block the lanes. Raymond Root avoids the bump up top. He drifts it up top already, side by side nearly.
You know, I was talking to a lot of people. They were saying they were expecting wheel spin on the restarts, but they weren't expecting it until they got a few laps on the tires. I didn't think they were going to get wheel spin on the initial restart with how fresh the tires were, but hey, I've said it multiple times. I've been proven wrong as Raymond Root's fighting for the lead here. He's to the outside of Christopher Burnham. He's going to take it all the way to the top lane, avoid the bump, almost getting up into the wall, but he keeps it out, and Burnham stays in the lead off of 2 for now.
But it's Raymond Root with the edge for turn 4 exit. Give it to the Prodigy Esports machine. Both of the Prodigy machines up front. Him and Edstrom opening the door up top. Now keep in mind that top line is an art form here in Atlanta. You get too high off turn 2, you stuff into the safer barrier. You go 1 lane too high in turn 3, you hit that giant bump on the splitter and sends you in the wall in the middle of 4.
Yeah, it's a game of it's a game of risk versus reward at Atlanta. Of course, the top line going to be the fastest line all night, but of course, it's going to be the most risky line to run for these drivers, especially with how fast tires wear here. And you can already see the difference in how much more speed you can carry on the top. As Burnham being stuck on the bottom, he is just burning that right rear off with how loose it is to start this run. So he is not going to have a fun time here in about 10 laps.
Here comes the fight for second, though. Edstrom making the pass. Let's take a look at the replay. This is why a lot of trucks got bundled back. More so Austin Runkle, who is still serving a black flag from this. Oops. Wow. That was less dramatic than I thought.
I mean, that happens in Atlanta. I mean, I did say it as we're watching Brandon Edstrom making a move for the lead, going to give a side draft to Raymond Root. Raymond Root says, go ahead and take the bottom, son. I'll let you have it, let you burn your right rear off. But Brandon Edstrom, he says, all right, I'll take it. I'll give you a slide job just to tick you off a little bit. But Raymond Root making a move to the inside. Edstrom blocks it. To the inside looks RJ Root, but he does not take it. And now he does going into the corner. RJ Root on the bottom.
Side by side again. And that shorter distance around, if you can clear it, can be good for those slide jobs. Not able to clear by. Edstrom keeps it alongside. Root now tries to get it to the bottom. Now a squeeze from Edstrom, trying to avoid that top bump. Burnham stays up there. By the way, they've already gained these 3 trucks more than a second over Scott Healy. That's how quick these three have started this race. And that's how quick Healy's gained 3 spots and broken away from the rest of the field. Offset 3 wide. Everyone else staying in the bottom in the next pack on back.
Yeah, this is going to be the cream of the crop, this top 3 right now. Looking at Nathan Nixon, looking off the back here. This is just an absolute hornet's nest. This is exactly where I expected everything to start going down, was from pretty much 8th, 9th-ish on back is where we're going to see a lot of the battling, a lot of the absolute craziness. We know Atlanta 4 is Dave Fuge almost in the middle, 3 wide with Corey Saucier and Philip Henry there. Somehow manages to keep out of that 3 wide situation, and for now looking to attack and get a position on Corey Saucier. Back up front, Brandon Edstrom seems to be pulling a little bit, but both those Prodigy Esports drivers pulling off of that 93 truck of Christopher Burnham.
Don't look now. Scott Healy is starting to match the leader's pace. The leaders, the top 3 should say, started off with the fastest laps of the race by up to half a second. But at Atlanta, we've seen how quickly the tire wear can hit. Was that too quick for them? Or is this a sign of what can happen if you've got the confidence here? Healy's now the fastest by a 10th a lap.
Scott Healy definitely coming onto the scene here. Right now, Corey Harville right behind Scott Healy in 5th position. And behind him, this is our first battle for position. Thomas Wolfe having that huge wheel spin on the initial restart, losing a ton of positions. He started 4th, mind you, in this race. I believe he fell back to 10th, and he's back up into 6th position now, looking to attack the 14 of Corey Harville.
Yes, indeed. You see how Wolf's trying to battle it out, but Harville doing solid. Nathan Nixon, would you believe it, is already up 7 with Corey Saucier. Those two have sliced their way to the Hornets' nest and fast.
Yeah, we looked at Nathan Nixon throughout practice. He was running a ton of long runs. I believe I counted 2 or 3 20-plus lap runs he ran in practice. So that 92 definitely knows how this truck is going to handle over the long run. Now, the question is, does the rest of the field know how it's going to handle compared to Nathan Nixon, who seems to be having the fastest truck over a 10-lap run for now?
Battles on for second. Raymond Root nearly spun it down the backstretch. Burnham now able to get alongside, forced to check up. He gave a bit of give. Now it's the matter of, does he take that later?
Give it 80 laps, and I guarantee you he will take that move. He may be a little bit forgiving 12 laps into the race, but once we get to lap 88, here comes Scott Healy. Where did he come from?
Healy nearly making the pass as a result of that contact to the wall. Does Burnham have damage? Doesn't look to be the case for him, but it does cost them both some time from the checkup effect.
Brandon Edstrom able to pull a little bit of a gap there, but RJ Root catching sniff of the draft of the 74 machine there, all the way to the white line for RJ Root there. Brandon Edstrom running the Larson line on the top. Root has the momentum on the inside, but it looks like Edstrom may have tapped the wall off of turn 2. For now, though, he's keeping that momentum on the top line going. And as I said, I do think this is going to move to the top as this run starts to move on. But Raymond Root's starting to prove that bottom can work.
Yes, indeed, with how things have played out. Still the fight's on for third. Healy is in third now, in fact. Pennsylvania-based driver able to get up there for now, but needs to gain another 7/10 to have a shot for the fight for the race lead. That race lead settling in. Keep in mind the follow-up for these drivers. They've now equalized to the rest of the field on lap times.
Yeah, that's a lot of these guys fighting tooth and nail for this lead. Of course, Brandon Edstrom having to pass a ton of drivers to get up into the lead. He'll be feeling it here in a few laps, but we've seen it from Raymond Root. I don't know if he will do it at this 1.5 miles, but every 1.5 miles this season, Charlotte, Kentucky, Kansas, all the other 1.5 miles we've been at this season, he's taken, as he touches the wall out of 2.
Already a 10th gained on Healy as well. Healy now has a strong chance to fight for second. He looks to prefer the bottom. Keep in mind, clean air on the bottom of the racetrack. It almost looks like that line is just about equalized with how many struggles we've seen up on the top already from these drivers now as they've built up 15, 16 laps on them.
As I was saying, we've seen Raymond Root throughout the majority of the mile and a half season. We've seen him stay on the set of tires. He starts on as he's in the wall again. Come on, Raymond, let me make my point for you, brother. As as I was saying, we've seen him every time that it comes to a green flag pit stop to start this race. He'll stay on the same set of tires he started on and fall back through the field, but he'll have that extra set of tires at the end. I don't think that's possible in Atlanta. I think tire wear is too bad to really warrant wanting that extra set of tires at the end. Of course, he could be thinking the exact opposite way. He may want that extra set of tires just so he could come in and pit and he's in the wall again off of 2.
More than a second and a half of fall off for the entire field. Root, he's falling off quickly with all that contact. But yeah, I was about to say, you can normally run the full run, give or take, on the tires as long as you don't have a very aggressive setup, so to speak. Keep in mind, though, everyone running with the same setup built by Justin Hall for this series. Also keep in mind, in terms of things, you add up the times in terms of how many laps you turn. There's a chance that anyone trying it may lose a lap, actually. That's how big the difference is today.
I mean, heck, you look at some of these lap times. Brandon Edstrom's fastest lap at 31.040 on lap 5. His last lap, actually, he's coming up to finish another lap. This last lap, he just ran at 32.6, so almost 1.6 seconds worth of fall off in just under 20 laps. That's just how bad tire wear can get here. And of course, it doesn't stop at like a second and a half, 2 seconds like we're used to at other tracks. It keeps on going. Well, we may see lap times start to eclipse the 33-second mark by the end of this run.
Battle is on for the race lead. Healy, he's now within a truck length. And the bottom is quicker. It's completely taken over. Edstrom's picking up on it to play defense. And keep in mind, in regards to official racing and open, most people have preferred the bottom all the time. It's the tire saving line after all. Hence why there's some thought maybe on, yes, you see a lot of drivers move up top in the next gen car, but not per se in the truck.
Well, we're seeing it right here. I talked to Brandon Edstrom pre-race, and he was saying the truck is just too unpredictable on the bottom for him. So he said he was mostly going to stick to the top. That's where I got my little talking point that I thought that the setup was going to be unpredictable and it was going to be top heavy, because he was saying that he didn't like how the truck felt on the bottom. He thought it was just too, as I said, unpredictable to warrant staying down there for more than a couple of laps at a time. And we're already seeing that with that 74 truck. He's just not comfortable on the bottom like Scott Healy is. And of course, here comes Healy on that bottom line. Will he be able to get alongside the 74? Yes, he will off of turn 4.
Looking to try and pull. Trying to avoid some of the bumps. Healy tries to wrap the bottom. Keep in mind, there's a fair amount of bumping on the bottom of the racetrack, too. When you exit, it's hard to slide across those seams. Edstrom playing the defensive line amongst that top. You see the choo-choo train starting to form up because guess what? The rest of the packs are compressing because all the leader's pace is gone. Side by side for the lead.
Yeah, side by side for the lead. They bump a little bit through the tri-oval. Brandon Edstrom, Scott Healy bumping and banging going into turn 1. This is everything we love about Atlanta. This is how hard racing can get. Healy gets the lead off of 2. Edstrom does not have the tire to keep up with Scott Healy, and that gives the lead to the 64 truck.
And Edstrom was loose as well. With how things are, those right rear tires are gone.
Right rear, I'm talking all the rear tires. Both rear tires are probably screaming for mercy right now on that 74. Of course, we know that top line just eats tires alive. And of course, Brandon Edstrom made his bed by running the top the whole run. Now he's got to lay in it. And of course, it is not going to be an easy one. Back behind him, though, here comes Raymond Root. We saw him up in the wall a ton earlier in this race, but he seems to have gotten it back.
Pit window's open. Dave Fuchs Jr. has indicated he wants to pit from the 12th position. Expect a lot of stops in the next couple laps. And there it is. Near contact as a couple drivers missed the memo, and he hits the cone. Speeding penalty for the 11.
Yeah, that is guaranteed to be a speeding penalty. He was going way too fast, 69 miles an hour into a 50-mile-an-hour zone heading onto the cone.
Not nice that time. Does anyone else
Confirmed,
fall in?
not nice.
Yes, Corey Saucier, expecting him to come in. Robbie Owens Jr. and several more. Brandon Edstrom's also going on the undercut.
He makes pit road this time, unlike the 11 truck at Dave Fuge. No speeding penalty for him.
Saucier, he wrecks it in pit road. He's got a speeding penalty. So two of the Zoo Yost racing machines already with penalties.
That is a tough break for that Zoo Yost camp. Saucier getting too hot onto pit road there. Looking at the replay here. Looks like going into pit road may have just underestimated what he needed. Or did he get a little bit of help here, maybe?
On his own.
Ah, it was.
Oh, and we have bad news for the overall leader, Scott Healy, speeding at the cone.
Ah, that's going to hurt. Now he's got a... Oh, and he overshot his box, I think. Oh, no, he made it. Just kidding.
What makes it so deceptive, that pit entry? We have 3 drivers with speeding more than 20 miles an hour at the cone already.
I'll tell you why it's so difficult. It's because it comes up on you
Trouble,
a lot
turn
quicker
4.
than you think. Ooh,
Mike Burnett tried to pit off with no call. He gets hit from behind. And we stay green. We nearly had another crash.
Oh, man, that was very, very interesting. Holloman's calling that he's coming into pit road. Looks like everyone is making that deluge for pit lane right now.
Yeah, I was about to say, what makes it so deceptive? Here's Raymond Root for good reference as he comes in. Oh, and Wolf nearly clipped him.
I'll tell you why it's so difficult. I did say it. Pit road comes up on you very quickly. That's Tanner Marty around pit entry.
Oh my goodness, everybody having troubles today on entry. Nearly coming in.
That's point proven right there with Tanner Marty. Pit road comes up on you very quickly here. And of course, with how bad tire wear is here, it makes it almost impossible to get on pit road without at least some sort of wheel spin with these trucks. And we're seeing it big time right now. A lot of speeding penalties, a lot of looseness getting on. Looks like Thomas Wolf is going to be very conservative in. So is Philip Henry. But, oh, Raymond Root is spinning on pit exit.
Oh, and more troubles. Root. He was in a good spot. He did not take tires, however. Did I mention exiting at Atlanta without tires is very dangerous for a reason?
Yeah, you did, because it is downright dumb to do. That's going to hurt the rest of Raymond Root's run. That's going to lose him a ton of time. And man, he is going to be hurting for the rest of this race. Here comes Timothy Latham. How aggressive is he into pit lane? He makes it.
Perfect. Kendall Levron. He nearly got speeding after the cone. But that just about closed out the window. And the question you now have is, how many people elected not to take tires? Would you believe? A lot of people. Burnham, Henry, Root, Burnett, Marty all did not take tires. Mind you, at least 2 of those trucks spun out.
Looking to see who's going to be in the lead here. It looks like Brandon Edstrom is going to be your net leader. Of course, with the Scott Healy speeding penalty, he's a lap down. Dave
and Edstrom!
Oh,
he hits the wall. From the lead, Edstrom clips the wall. And somehow, he stays the leader without mandatory damage. There goes Latham out of the pit lane.
It looks like he's okay. But for now, Levron and Latham are still leading by a pretty good margin. Actually, right as I say that, Brandon Edstrom does take the lead. I'm taking a look at the side of Edstrom's car. It looks for the majority to be okay. Maybe just a tiny little scratch for him.
And that is incredible.
Absolutely zero damage on that truck.
That's the hardest hit I've ever seen that has 0 damage. By the way, the next-gen truck, next-gen car, just had its damage model adjusted today. Not the truck, before anyone has that question come to mind.
I was getting ready to say, I didn't know there was a next-gen truck now.
Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll try and figure out what the next gen of a truck looks like. No, seriously, we'll watch some race trucks. You're watching SSRL Truck Series here from Atlanta.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back once again to Grid Vision for more coverage of the SSRL Truck Series. Justin Prince, Nick Stein with you. Austin Jarby Sharp producing. So we're coming up towards the final groupings of this first stage. Again, stage caution endpoints at lap 50. Edstrom has the lead by about 6 seconds despite nearly climbing the safer barrier. That's over Nathan Nixon. Nixon currently dropped in the back of Scott Healy, who got a speeding penalty from the lead. Corey Harville, Blair Hoyman also taking tires. Robbie Owens Jr. did the same. He's in 5th. And then much of the field did not take tires. Latham, Burnham, Henry amongst those. Zodiac also throwing route. Mike Burnett, Charles Abert. Then the next driver back on tires. Of note, though, a few drivers are at risk of losing a lap. Kendall Levron has nearly been caught by the leader. Same for Tanner Marty. Charles Abert, despite the tires, could lose a lap. So a lot of different strategies in play. By the way, Thomas Wolf also on the old tires. He's trying to make a pass 2 and 3 wide. Near contact as he races his teammate.
That's Philip Henry on the inside. He's going to make a move to the inside of Thomas Wolf here. Backs out of the 3 wide as he thinks better of it. Wolf going to get the beneficiary here over Christopher Burnham. He's going to be promoted up into 8th position, or excuse me, 7th position. And now Philip Henry waiting in the wings, waiting for Christopher Burnham to make a mistake here. Henry takes it all the way, or excuse me, takes it up to the middle line. He's going to get to the outside of Burnham, give him a little bit of air on the rear spoiler, and it looks like this is going to be a pretty easy pass for the 25.
Yes, indeed, able to complete it through the quad oval. Also, this fight, it's been going on for a little while. Harville and Hollyman continuing to battle along. Here in Kendall, Levron's off track in front of the leader. And that got very dangerous very quickly. Tanner Marty now at risk of being lapped as well. These two were lined up, truck nose to nose. And then...
ooh, claps the wall off the floor and goes lawn mowing.
Very lucky to be able to get a clean entry back to the racetrack. But in turn, it is a lap down now for Lebron. Tanner Marty also a lap, so he is not only a lap down, but out of range for the lucky dog, possibly. Mike Burnett possibly could lose a lap before the end of this run. Raymond Root is at risk of losing a lap as well.
I would put it as far up as Christopher Burnham's in danger of losing a lap too, because Brandon Edstrom, he is ultra conserving right now, but he is still a good bit faster than a lot of the people in front of him. You go up to 10th place Kevin Zosiak, 33.2 as his last lap. Go up to Brandon Edstrom at 32.7. So there is a chance that if things go south for that battle for the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, they could lose a lap here.
Interesting enough, though, that lead interval is shrinking, or it was, and then Austin Runkle happened down the backstretch for Nathan Nixon. He and Scott Healy nearly hit him. Nathan Nixon, he has been coming in quick. He is on 2 lap pressure tires, and on average, he's been quicker by up to 0.3 a lap the past 5 laps.
Yeah, I've been watching Brandon Edstrom for the last few laps, and it is because he is ultra saving his tires right now. He is not pushing one bit on those tires. He started out the run after the pit stop with 31.3s and immediately dropped it into the high 31s. And he's just kind of been chilling in the high 32.7s range, just trying to save as much tire as he can. So that makes me think he's going to be staying out at this stage and trying to save that set of tires.
Back up to the leader, less than 5 laps to go now on the stage. Edstrom is within very solid distance to get to Burnett now. Raymond Root also could lose a lap depending on what the 74 does here. Which leads to the question, their teammates, does Edstrom lap his teammate?
I was just getting ready to ask the same question. I want to be a fly on the wall of the Prodigy Esports strategy room right now and see if Raymond Root is saying something along the lines of, please don't lap me. I don't want to go a lap down here.
Looking like that might, unless Root has another mistake here, be out of the cards. Burnett may either be the last in the lead lap or the lucky dog. Tanner Marty's hoping that it's him as the lucky dog, obviously.
I believe this is on board with Mike Burnett in that 39 truck. You can just barely see Brandon Edstrom in the 74 in the frame for just a moment there. As the 39 into turn 1, he gets a little bit hairy coming off of turn 2, and that gap is going to close between the 39 and the 74. One look off the hood here. Edstrom, of course, running that seam on that top line. We've seen him up there for the entire race so far. Coming to 2 laps to go in the stage. Will he get up to Mike Burnett?
Down to 2 laps to go. Pit road closed. Jordan Sailors officially closes it. Of note, Christopher Burnham and Raymond Root are nose to tail for 11th. Does that get interesting for the white flag lap on the stage? We'll see. There it goes for Root. Burnham lets him go. But Mike Burnett, he's now been reeled in. Coming to 1 to go on the stage. We start lap 50. A bubble off the corner. Burnett, does he try and block it? It'd be very difficult to do. 5-mile-an-hour difference on speed. Edstrom goes to the happy place up top. Oh, and Burnett trying to close up on the slide. Can't get the block down, so he's in the lucky dog spot. But for Brandon Edstrom, 37 laps led. Since the quick back and forth between him and Raymond Root, he's controlled this race. Fellow teammates and fellow competitors with speeding penalties early. But it's Brandon Edstrom who wins the stage today here with the SSRL Truck Series. Nixon second, Harville third over Blair Hollyman. Robbie Oates Jr. fifth, Timothy Latham in sixth. Thomas Wolf in 7. Charles Abert gets stage points after starting 16th and 8th. Then it's PB Henry and Kevin Soziak in the top 10. Of note, Burnett is the lucky dog. Scott Healy Tanner Marty, Kendall Levron, all laps down at the time of the caution flag for the stage. And what can you say? That's what happens when you speed.
Yep, the Georgia, is it the Georgia Highway Patrol? I think they were on duty today, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, we are in Georgia. I mean, we wouldn't have the Alabama State Patrol in Georgia, wouldn't we?
I didn't know what their name was. I knew we were in Georgia. I'm not that bad at geography. Come on now, Justin.
So, expecting the tires here. And Blair Hyman is a fan of the caution. He says it's sponsored by iRacing to have some fun. It's a scheduled caution. No, it's not. It's the first of the day. But for the most part... Go ahead.
I was going to say, it isn't iPacing until you've had at least 7 or 8 cautions in a row. Looking at you, Bristol.
Did I mention that's the next racetrack on the schedule?
Oh, good Lord.
Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll fill you in on what to do when you're in a Bristol. You're watching Grid Vision from Atlanta.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to Atlanta Motor Speedway for tonight's coverage of the SSRL Truck Series. It's the 7th race of the season from Atlanta Motor Speedway. Justin Pritz, Nick Stein with you. Austin Darbyshire producing. So, how do you survive a Bristol? Wrap your car in bubble wrap. Try and make sure you're ready for snowball fights. Make sure you know how to run the bottom and the top. Be ready for the big one. And many more storylines. Meanwhile, here in Atlanta, it's time for the storyline of how does everyone avoid the choose car? Better yet, what line do you choose, Nick, if you're in this spot?
Well, if I'm Nathan Nixon in this situation, and I know Brandon Edstrom has been running the top the whole race, I'm going to pick the bottom, obviously, but if we're sitting in the cockpit of the 74 truck of Brandon Edstrom, I do expect him to take the top here. And, of course, I get proven wrong.
Edstrom nearly hit it. And these drivers are carrying a good amount of speed, 65 miles an hour. Does anyone touch it? No. And apparently Nathan Nixon said he did not like the plan. He's now outside on the front row. I don't think he wanted to be there.
Interesting call. I was really expecting Brandon Edstrom to take the outside, knowing that he's been on the outside for the majority of this race. Maybe he's getting a little bit of coaching from the 7 truck of Raymond Root, saying that the bottom actually is better, and he just doesn't know how to drive it. Which, of course, that's Raymond Root for you. He'll tell you like it is, and I can guarantee you that's something along the lines of what he said. Of course, I don't think I can say exactly what I think he said over the air, but that's just a Cliff's Notes version of it.
Yeah, our imaginations can really fill in the blanks. Really. So now we are at the restart coming up. It's Edstrom, Nixon on the front row, Latham and Harville, then Root and Hollyman. Then behind them is Henry and Yost Jr. All set to go. The race is on. 45 laps to go. We're back underway. Nicely done off the launch this time. And Edstrom already clear, and Nixon found out the reason he didn't like the plan. He's already back to third.
Yeah, he's got Timothy Latham already past him, and now Latham looking to the inside of the 74 truck of Edstrom. Will there be a move here? Or will this be an attacking move for the 92 and Nathan Nixon? Of course, Nixon, one of the faster guys of the race tonight so far. Of course, he's got Raymond Root behind him, which has been another of the fast trucks. It looks like a lot of the faster people are starting to rise back up after not taking tires on that stage restart. Looks like everyone's starting to pick up on Raymond Root's plan.
Yeah, I think they've picked up on and equipped with adaptability. Now the battle's on for second. Latham up there. Now up top goes Root. A lot of shuffling from Henry and company against Harville, though. Lots of drivers moving fully to the bottom. Slide up for Latham. Give him second.
Latham keeping second for the moment. Nixon looking to attack. He's going to take it to the middle line here. Root chooses the bottom, and behind him, the Hornet's Nest. Just nowhere to go if you're in that Hornet's Nest right now. Root looking to the inside, shows the nose. Nixon goes down to block it. No move for the 7 truck yet.
2 by 2 now as they group up. Henry moves up to the middle top. Same for Wolf as they try and get a push now on Nixon. These starts are almost like a pack race after all. We see these packs getting a little bit feisty though. Henry wants 3 wide, doesn't go.
Come on, Henry, keep it too wide for just a little bit, almost a little contact. Nixon, Root making contact off of 2. Henry making an attacking move on Raymond Root now. Will Henry go 3 wide here with Nathan Nixon? No, he doesn't have the momentum quite yet. Thomas Wolf right behind this battle, all the way up to the wall. He's going to hit the wall, makes a little bit of contact with Zosiak. They keep it straight, no caution.
No major hit, no major damage outside of it to the door to Wolf. Offset 3, Henry poking. And Nixon barely holds on the top. Move Nixon back to second in the Sparkle and Shine machine. Now it's 3 wide with Root squeezing Latham, forced to back up.
Oh man, that got a little tight there. Henry squeezed Root. Latham squeezing Root. That almost ended up in an RJ Root sandwich. And now they're going to be 3 wide. Christopher Burnham looks to the outside, but he decides to back out of it. Actually, Latham backs out of it. Gives up the 2 positions to Raymond Root and Christopher Burnham. Burnham almost to the outside. He's going to take it all the way down. He's to the inside of Raymond Root. And now this is our battle for 4th position between the Raymond Root and the 93. Right in front of them, Nixon and Henry side by side for 2nd position as Brandon Edstrom's just watching this unfold in his mirror.
And Edstrom's being reeled in despite all this. 3/10 the difference. There's a look back over to the Ladybug. Trying to find a way to poke at Zosiak. Zosiak watching along from the seat. Henry, his teammate, already 2nd in midst of all this. Latham has dropped from 2nd all the way back to 7th in the span of a couple laps with this fight. And another scrape to the wall up front.
Who would have thought that the popcorn seat would be in 8th position? We're used to it being 3rd position, but tonight Kevin Zosiak's holding that popcorn position. He's just watching all of this craziness in front of him unfold right now. As we're looking back up front, this is Nathan Nixon, Raymond Root side by side. Root's going to get the position. Henry looks to the inside of Edstrom. Henry getting a little bit loose off of turn 2. Still to the inside of the 74 of Edstrom. Edstrom goes down to try and shove him down the track a little bit. Edstrom to the middle to defend. Henry slides up a little bit. Maybe getting a little bit of tight. They're going to make a little bit of contact off of turn 4. Nothing major, though. Edstrom still your leader. Henry still on the bottom. Here comes RJ Root, though, trying to give his teammate a little bit of help on that outside line.
Side by side, the slide job. Henry. Is he committing? He nearly did, but now it's Edstrom with the power. And where did Raymond Root come from? He was out of this fight much of the way. He nearly hits the wall on the checkup for Henry. He's up to third up the middle.
Henry slid that into a gap that really didn't exist for much more than a second. Call that perfect timing. Root gets to the outside of Henry. Side by side for a second. They make a little bit of contact. RJ Root, though, keeps his foot in it. Almost side by side for second position. RJ Root may have a nose. Edstrom loose off of turn 2. He's going to get back up in front of Henry block. Henry goes all the way to the white line. He's going to get to the inside now. And it looks like Henry may have Edstrom cleared, but Edstrom comes back on the outside line. Raymond Root with the popcorn seat now here in third position. Henry a little bit loose off of turn 4. That allows Edstrom and Root to get hooked up together. They're going to be bump drafting on that outside line. And it looks like Edstrom is going to get clear again, once again for now.
But for how long, Root's giving a small push from behind. Henry wraps the bottom. Now under attack for second. Root zips up top. Nixon waits behind in the wings. Mind you, from here on out, pit stops could be on the cards for some, if not in a couple laps. Already under 35 laps to go. If you save hard, you can make it 37. Timothy Latham was the test subject for that in practice. The question's going to be, when do drivers tuck down? Do they go back to the quarter marks like we've seen? It could come down to when you pit to win this race with how this is going.
Yeah, you say people are wanting to save here. I don't see anyone saving in this entire... I would go top 8. Everyone is pushing right now. There is no one saving one bit. Raymond Root to the lead as he gets a slide job done on Edstrom. That's going to allow Henry to attack, but Henry's going to actually go up and help Edstrom for just a second. Side by side for the lead through turns 1 and 2. Edstrom all the way up to the wall. RJ Root on the white line. Root gets clear of Brandon Edstrom. Edstrom in the wall. Off of turn 2. So was Timothy Latham. Does that allow Philip Henry to attack the 74? Not into turn 3, but as I say that, he sends it to the inside all the way down to the white. Philip Henry trying a slide job here on Brandon Edstrom. It does not look like it's going to work. They're still side by side for second position.
All sorts of wrestling amongst these drivers. Now alongside again, second. Nearly to the wall goes Wolf. Wolf tries to get to the inside. The Ladybugs now alongside Nixon. He was as high as second a second ago. Now up on the high side. Edstrom clears. Now at the side by side. Zosiak clears by Nixon. In through 3 and 4 though. Henry and Latham, they're back side by side as well. And what can I say? One driver pounces, then it calms down. They're forced to retreat. They take a few moments to cool off. Then all of a sudden, it's put me back in, coach, let's fight.
Oh man, it is edge of your seat racing here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Your entire top 8 realistically the chance for the lead as Philip Henry's in the wall. That allows Thomas Wolf to get to the inside of the 25 truck.
Trouble.
Thomas Wolf, not a name. Oh, as I hear a trouble call.
From 15th position, Kendall Levron nearly had a crash down the backstretch. He's actually broken the truck. Rabios Jr. was also involved. No caution. We stay green, but Levron is done for the race.
Oh, that's not good. Oh, and just a rear end there for the 83 of Rob Yost. Oh, man, hard hit for Levron. Back to live, though. This lead pack is still at each other's throats.
All sorts of fighting, and look at that. No one really up at the top now. They're all to the bottom after they pick back up on, you know, what the notebook has said for the past, 5-6 years? Here comes Latham inside.
Edstrom, though, he gets back on that middle line. That's where he's been fastest all night. Latham, though, has the run off the corner, side by side for second position. Latham goes up to side draft. Edstrom trying to fight back on that outside all the way to the top. That's going to get Latham clear in the corner. Edstrom's going to bring it all the way down to the white to try and defend from the 25 of Philip Henry. But here comes Edstrom. He's looking to attack. He gets a really good run off of turn 4. He's going to go to the outside, looks to the outside. Latham blocks. Oh, and a bumper to the 6 from the 74.
The Tim Nation machine nearly getting sent for a ride. Again, gas window is open from here on out. No pit stops last time by scheduled. No signals for them yet. Now they go for wider arcs. Edstrom trying to get a good run for 3 and 4. And when it's like this could make it very difficult to even get a stop in.
Yeah, I do think these guys are going to push it as long as they can on fuel just to make sure that they can absolutely 100% make it and have that ability to push all out to the end of this race. Of course, we are almost 20 laps into this run, or excuse me, this green flag run, but we are coming up on the field window as Philip Henry blinks out for just a second. That allows Thomas Wolff to get to the inside of Philip Henry. Thomas Wolff in the 91, Prime Machine all the way to the bottom. Henry goes down to squeeze, try to put a little bit of air on the 91. 91 slides up the track a little bit to try a side draft here going down the front straightaway. He's going to get that side draft. And it looks like Thomas Wolff and Philip Henry are still going to be brawling this one out.
Meanwhile, things back to the top. Oh, look, it's cloudy time. That in turn has dropped the track temperature a couple degrees here. Partly cloudy skies. Pit stops called over the radio. Tanner Marnie wants to come in to start it off. Does anyone else follow the 29 this time by? No. Everyone except for... Then the spin! It's Tanner Marnie again!
No caution for that as he was not on the racing surface. We stay green and it's cloudy with the chance of, do you want some racing on the top side? Raymond Root starting to lose a little bit of time to Timothy Latham here. Wolff gets a little bit loose off of 2, but Zodiac and Henry are side by side as I believe I just heard a pitting in call from the 25 of Philip Henry.
Does everyone get the memo though? Blair Hyman nearly missed the whole entire memo. But it's Henry who makes it into the code. 74, this time by, has already called in. Also coming in comes Rob Yost Jr.
Latham coming in as well in the 005. 91 of Thomas Wolff in. Raymond Root in. This is the money stop here. Your entire lead pack coming down to pit road all at the same time. Who's going to be the beneficiary here?
This could get interesting. Edstrom trying to send it deep. And it looks like Raymond Root caught for speeding at the cone. Root, the leader, is penalized.
Oh, that's what happens when you get in too hot. 67 miles an hour at the line. That is going to be the end of the line for Raymond Root. The Georgia Highway Patrol getting him on speeding for entry pit road. That is going to end race winning hopes for the 7 truck of Raymond Root.
Next group is in. Hollyman. He's in the Johnny Benson throwback. Nathan Nixon, Corey Harville, and all of them keep it very conservative on the entry. Christopher Burnham tries to send it a little deep. He makes it in cleanly as well. But man, oh man, what a swing. Charles Abert, Mike Burnett, the only main leaders yet to pit so far.
That promotes Timothy Latham up into the lead, and now the battle for position is going to be between Philip Henry and Timothy Latham. Here comes Henry. Of course, he has the warmer tires. He's to the outside of the 6th truck of Timothy Latham. Latham gets clear for just a moment through the corner, but it looks like Henry's coming back on the top. This is the battle for the overall lead right now, as our leaders still have yet to pit. Give it to Latham at the line by not a very big margin there. Henry still losing a little bit of time in the corner. Latham now, tires up to temp. He's going to get clear. He gets loose off of turn 2. That allows Philip Henry to get clear of the 6th truck.
Henry looking for his first win of the season. Timothy Latham looking at his first win in his first start. Edstrom losing a few trunk lanes in that exchange for the net lead. Of note, Abert's already completed his service. Mike Burnett, Scott Healy yet to take their pit stops. Everybody else has already made the money stop for this race. Look who's coming. It's Edstrom up on top. He's coming and he's coming fast, looking for second.
Edstrom with a huge run. Latham goes down to defend. Edstrom keeps to the top. He's there. Here comes Philip Henry. Edstrom to the top. 3 wide for the lead. Philip Henry in the middle of a 3 wide truck sandwich. Henry's going to slide up. It's going to get tight off the corner, but they keep it straight. Timothy Latham, Philip Henry, Brandon Edstrom side by side. Give it to Brandon Edstrom that lap. He leads the lap on the very top.
The net lead should say, but now Henry goes apron. Latham stays middle. Now Henry tries to renegotiate. He works back with Latham. Edstrom up to the point. Keep in mind, Edstrom and Latham equal on tires. Henry slightly older rubber. They are catching up to current second place Scott Healy. He's already indicated he's staying up top as Edstrom tries to run.
Edstrom hasn't run the bottom at all tonight. He does not know how it's going to handle. Of course, Latham and Henry have been running the bottom all night. Edstrom gets through cleanly, though, and now he's got to build that gap. We know that 74 truck is going to be pushing as hard as he can to build that gap and see if he can hold that gap to the finish here. 18 laps to go for these drivers. Who's going to come out on top? We do not know at all at this point.
And there goes Scott Healy in for his final pit stop. He tried to wait out for the lucky dog. If not the lead lap, Mike Burnett is also in, this time by. So the fight is on for the overall win. Edstrom, Latham, Henry all have the best shots. They're separated by about half a second, if not 7/10. Edstrom's back up to the top. Latham and Henry are on the bottom, though. Remember, that bottom line started coming in around lap 15 to be equal, if not quicker, than that top line by corner exit.
Edstrom moves down to the middle towards the bottom now, maybe trying to match what Latham and Henry are doing. Or it could have just been to pass Austin Runkle there at lap car. Who knows, but Edstrom back up towards the top. Timothy Latham to the bottom, and so is Henry.
And Latham still doing it in his own way. Last time by, Latham was actually quicker. The quickest of the three, though, still Henry. Here's a look from Latham. The Princeton, West Virginia driver, 28 years old now. Sim racer for more than 8 years. Can he find his way to make his way to victory lane in his first ever start in this series?
I got bad news for 74 fans. He's already starting to fall off. Latham was quicker by just under a tenth, that last lap. Edstrom with a 31.560. Latham with the 49. This lap, it's a 650 for Brandon. It's a 55 for Latham. Latham is quicker. He's closing in. Is Brandon Edstrom saving is the question now. Is he trying to save tires in defense here of Timothy Latham, or is it the other way around? Is Latham pushing now?
I mean, at this point, we're coming up to 14 laps to go. If you don't push now, will you have enough time to do much to be able to fight? 14 to go at the stripe. 3 trucks under a blanket. Next back, Hollyman. He's about 2 seconds back.
Waiting. This is the killer moment of this race. It's just waiting to see how this is going to play out. This is where man versus machine really comes into play. Who has the better fuel over their truck? Who has the tires? Who has the advantage? Who has the pace to be able to win this? Latham, though, with a huge run, he's going to get to the inside of the 74 of Edstrom. Edstrom goes down to block. He moves to the top to block the run from the 6. 6 gets to the inside, side by side for the lead. Timothy Latham, Brandon Edstrom. Edstrom on the middle, Latham on the white line. Coming up off of 2, Edstrom gets the run, and now we wait for the next attacking moment from Latham. This is what it's going to be for the rest of the race. Latham going to be attacking Edstrom. Edstrom is going to be on pure defense for the rest of this race.
Latham still not able to make the pouncing move. Latham, a long-time racer when it comes to competing against drivers such as Dave Foods Jr., all the way back to 4 years ago. When you think about series like the iRacing Virtual Cup Series, now he looks to try and leapfrog Brandon Edstrom in his first ever start of the series for Flashpoint. Back inside again, coming up to 11 laps to go at the stripe. He's got the side draft. Is that enough to pull back Edstrom? Edstrom tries to squeeze. Latham gives to the bottom. Side by side as the top line is starting to die off as they door each other. They door again.
No!
Latham nearly spins it. He goes in the grass. He holds on to it. Henry jumps to second.
Oh my goodness, contact off of turn 4 almost leads to the end of both leaders' races, but they keep it straight off the corner, and we're already having a little bit of beef in the in-race radio. Timothy Latham saying some words I can't repeat.
And now, can Latham get back there? The more they fight, the more this opens the door for Hoyman. 10 laps to go from Atlanta. What do you do?
I was just getting ready to say, now this begs the question, did these guys burn their tires off too quickly? Edstrom and Henry already into the 32.2s. Holloman 32.18 that last time. So it looks like things are definitely starting to even out a little bit more as we get closer and closer to the end of this race. Does Philip Henry have any idea as what he wants to do with Brandon Edstrom? He's looking to the inside. He may get it. Edstrom blocks the move. Henry looks to the outside. Does Edstrom go up to block it? Yes, he does. Henry does not have the move, though. Here comes Latham once again. He's looking to get back into this. Henry's to the inside of the 74. Brandon Edstrom off of the corner. Edstrom gets the run, gets clear once again. Henry dips back into the draft. Does that allow him another move? Latham's back up here now. What does this mean in terms of this battle?
They reset, coming to 8 laps to go. Edstrom now trying to play all the lines. We've seen already how physical he's willing to get here. He's looking for a second win. Henry and Latham looking for the first. Choo-choo train effect as Latham looks up from the middle. Is he trying to get the diamond down? Couldn't get it fully down, but he's got the run to push Henry. Looks like he's cooperating with the 25 here to try and see if he can open the door to fight for this win as he goes up topside.
Henry all the way down to the white. He diamonds the corner very well. Edstrom took the middle. Latham took the top. Looks like these guys are just trying to find the clean air here. Latham looks to the outside. Henry goes up to block. A little bit of contact. Henry sideways. Does this... Oh my goodness, he somehow managed just to save that. Latham and Henry now side by side for second position. Latham goes up to side draft. He gets the side draft. Henry falling back now. Latham and Henry side by side. Latham gets cleared. Now does this make way for a slide job here? Henry's going to have the run off the corner. Latham goes up to block. Henry to the inside. He looks to the inside, but thinks better of it. He's going to push the 6 truck of Timothy Latham back up to Brandon Edstrom. Oh my goodness, these guys are having a blast here.
Still not done yet, though. 5.5 laps to go. Latham and Henry working back together. Looks like Henry lets that be bygones. Now, Latham doesn't want Edstrom to be by and away. 5 laps to go with the stripe. Coming down to the stretch from Atlanta. The gap.
You want to know how hard these guys are pushing? Oh, excuse me. Sorry, I didn't realize. You want to know how hard these guys are pushing? These guys are running lap times that were akin to what people were running on 40-lap-old tires, and they're only 15 laps into this run. These guys are pushing these trucks for everything it's worth. Latham's back up to the rear end of the 74. Brandon Edstrom does this, give him a move into the corner. He dives it down to the inside. Brandon goes down to squeeze him a little bit. He runs the middle here. Latham on the bottom. Will he get the run? Edstrom's going to have a little bit more momentum, a little bit more contact. They beat and bang off the corner. Latham gets a little bit loose, but he keeps it a lot straighter than he did last time. Does this give Philip Henry the edge he needs to get back in this battle?
Under 4 laps to go. Latham resets. In the wall goes Edstrom. Here comes Latham. Latham has the run. To the inside for the lead. Contact. Up the track goes the 74. Edstrom keeps it off the wall. Latham takes the lead. Here comes Henry for second. 3 laps to go.
Brandon Edstrom is not going to be a happy camper out of that. He's going to be pushing this truck for everything it's worth. Henry tries to get up to the rear end. He doesn't quite get to the rear end of Timothy Latham to return the favor. Now that begs the question, will he return the favor to Timothy Latham as Latham is already starting to pull away?
Not done yet. Here comes Edstrom on the slide job. He sends the stamp. licks it forward to second. Henry crosses him up. Is that enough for Latham to run? 2 laps to go. Latham playing the draft.
Now, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but these guys are coming up on a lap car in the forms of Austin Runkle. Does this have anything to do with how this race is going to finish? Latham has the gap. Henry and Edstrom is almost trying to be side by side off the corner here. Latham attempting to see if he will catch that lap car. Still single file for the battle for second right now.
Runkle stays up to the top side after slamming the wall. White flag is up. Final time around from Atlanta. The 1 to go here in SSRL Truck Series action. Timothy Latham in his first ever start in this series, looking to try and hold on. Henry stays within 3 truck lengths. Up in the wall for one final time goes Edstrom. It's a battle for the ages we just seen here tonight. But for Timothy Latham, he comes through 3 and 4 one final time in his first ever Truck Series start. He gets his first win. Timothy Latham for West Virginia gets it from Atlanta. And absolute drag races across the field at the checker flag of the mid-pack. Wow is all you can say. That was a classic.
Atlanta, man, oh my goodness. That was an absolute blast to watch. Oh my God, I am tired. I am legitimately tired after calling that race. I don't know about you, Justin, but that one wore me out. I can't imagine how these drivers feel after that one.
And Timothy Latham looks to burn it on down. What a run for Timothy Latham tonight, to say the very least. And he gets to celebrate. It's his second ever win in the SSRL. He picked up a win in the Cup car at Auto Club this past March. It's his first truck win. He gets it done by 0.3 of a second over Henry. Edstrom finishes third. Hollyman and Zolciak the top 5. Harville, Nixon, Burnham, Abert holds on to the top 10. And Mike Burnett, despite all the damage on the 39, got enough fix during a caution to get to 10th.
Finishing 11th tonight, Rob Yost Jr. and Scott Healy never able to recover from that speeding penalty he had at the money stop. Finishes the first car 1 lap down. Thomas Wolf, 13th position, is going to finish 1 lap down as well. Raymond Root also not able to recover from that speeding penalty, finishes in 14th. Corey Saucier is going to finish in 16th, 2 laps down. Dave Fuge Jr., after having that early speeding penalty, unable to recover as well, finishing in 16th, 2 laps down. Finishing 10 laps down tonight, Austin Runkle with Tanner Marty having that spin off the 4, trying to get on pit road, going to finish in 18th position. And finishing in 19th position tonight is going to be Kendall Lever on 33 laps down.
That's all top to bottom at tonight's running order in this one. We'll take a break. When we come back, post-race coverage. You're watching Grid Vision for coverage of the SSRL Truck Series from Atlanta. Welcome back to Grid Vision for post-race coverage for the SSRL Truck Series. Here from Legacy Atlanta, Justin Britznick-Stein, Austin John Bishar producing. So let's take the chance to talk with our drivers here. First things first, third place tonight went to Brandon Edstrom. Brandon, it got physical towards the end. Your thoughts on the top 3 run tonight?
Oh man, just fun racing. We all made some contact all through some sliders, but I probably could have had first, could have had second, but just ran out of talent there at the end. Knocked the wall down a few times. Doored Timothy in the tri-oval on accident, and it's just the setup was weird, man. At first in practice, everybody was running the top, and then in qualifying, we found something on the bottom, and then the top was dominant for the first 2 runs of the race, and then that last run, I felt like I just ran too hard on the top, got back to the throttle too early, burnt my stuff off. But congratulations to Timothy, great running with him and Henry. It was a great race.
In turn, we heard a lot of discussion on the lineups, or rather the racing lines, especially when it comes to pointing out top to bottom. How would you describe that adjustment period as the race progressed, though, with that setup, going from running mostly top to having to counter bottom in the midst of the fight for the win?
Well, once I saw people running the bottom and, them getting closer and closer to me on the relative, going from 7/10 to 5 to 3, I knew that they had found something and I was kind of doomed. But you could run the top just about wide open and then for about the first 10-15 laps, and then you'd have to start letting off, but never really have any off throttle time, just kind of whipping it around the top. But then once they started figuring out the bottom, I think I spent too much of my race just having the top set, and at the end of the race there, it's just it kind of died off. They made the bottom work. It rubbered in a little bit, and they were able to catch me, and by the time I figured it out, it was too late, and I knocked down the wall too many times.
So with that, the next race is Bristol. How are you preparing for being at a Bristol?
Practice, man. That's all you can do is practice. This league is super competitive. Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. Everybody has a different temper, a different patience level, sort of say. Short track racing, as much as I love going to watch it, maybe doing it in the mods or the street stocks, I haven't really figured it out in the truck, Xfinity, or A car yet. So we'll put in a lot of practice this week. I have no doubt that me and RJ will run tons of laps together, and we look forward to being competitive next week. I don't want to say winning is very, very realistic. If we get lucky, maybe, but I'd say at least top 5.
Once again, congratulations on the run. Any shout-outs you'd like to give tonight, Brandon?
Yeah, NAMI, Northern Alliance on Mental Illness, for their continued research on those who suffer with mental illness. No Kid Hungry for providing 10,000 meals a day. Ryko, P1 Coffee, my mom, my fiance. I want to thank David, Matt, Ben, all my friends and family who support me, and everybody who lets me do this silly little hobby that I like to do every now and then.
Well, congratulations on the run tonight, Brandon.
Thanks, guys.
Brandon Edstrom finishes off tonight. A solid run in the top 3. Second spot went to PB Henry. He's with Nick.
Philip Henry, man, that was an absolutely wild finish to that race. We saw punches getting thrown left, right, and center between the top 3, and you came out with second in the end. How are you feeling, man?
Oh, man, that is the most fun I've had on iRacing in the longest time. That was a heck of a race. That was I was sitting there in third behind them two, and I was like, I may be sitting in prime position. Then I got a little closer. I'm like, I may be in the worst position here. But a lot of fun. Proud of a second place finish here. Can't say more about the racing that went on. Caution free other than the stage. Excellent job by everybody.
Yeah, we saw a couple of punches get thrown between you and Timothy Latham. Of course, the main one, you two getting into it. I believe it was coming off of turn 2, and you somehow managed to save that. And do you think if that didn't happen, do you think you would have been able to maybe have a chance at that win, or was that the nail in the coffin for you?
I won't say it was, it did me in. It didn't help me any, but Timothy was doing a much better job at saving tires than I was. He showed in the first stage. He was much better. I think if I would have saved just a little bit better coming out of the pits and wouldn't have pushed so hard, I think I would have been okay. But no, Timothy, he deserved the win. He was much better on the long run than anybody else.
Looking ahead to next week, we're headed to Bristol, the last great Coliseum. Man, how are you feeling for that one? We talked to Brandon, and he said he was feeling kind of confident for it. How are you feeling for that one?
I'm going to feel just as confident as I was tonight. I like Bristol a lot. I run good there in the next gen. So, the truck and the next gen kind of play similar. I know on short tracks they're a little different, but you kind of race on the same. everywhere else. So I'm hoping it plays over and plays the exact same at Bristol, and we can come out with another top 3, make it 3 weeks in a row with a top 3.
Yeah, this should be a fun one next week at Bristol. And man, who gets it done for you every week? I mean, we see you every week, and as you just have one of the fastest tracks on track. Who gets it done for you?
I gotta say big thanks to Legacy Academy, Legacy Esports, all the guys over there. They helped me. Been working with me a little bit on my racecraft and stuff, and helping me learn how to drive the truck and the next gen. So can't give a big enough round of applause to them over there.
Congratulations on the P2 tonight, Philip. Hope to see you next week in Bristol.
Yes, thank y'all.
Once again, that's PB Henry in the second spot. First going to Timothy Latham. Not bad for your first truck start. Talk us through that finish.
Yeah, that was fun. I really enjoyed myself. I love Old Atlanta. The first stage, we were just all about saving tires and keeping an extra tire set in case we had a caution, but that never happened. So I guess we really didn't need to do that. But finished 6th in the stage, got a good pit stop, restarted top 5, and the choose cone came out. I think I started 2nd on the bottom row, and from there I was just trying to save a little bit at the beginning of each run, and then charge forward at the end of each run, and it worked out in the end. And we had a really close race there at the end. I was loving sliding around and battling with the 74 and the 25. That was really fun. So glad to be here. Glad to win the race. That was very fun for sure.
So, of course, you're a one-time winner in the Cup Series for the SSRL. You now join that club for the truck side here, at least. So what drew you to the Truck Series?
Actually, I saw there was a lot of guys down here that I race with on Mondays, and since the season was over, I figured I'd give this place a shot. And everyone was really respectful out there. We had some contact late, but it was good hard racing, and it was really fun. I really had a blast.
So in turn, do we expect to see you the rest of the way here? Because next is Bristol, and of course, it's a Bristol. And you never know what to be prepared for when you go to a Bristol.
That's true, and I really like running at Bristol too. I don't know. I might run the season out. I might pick and choose here and there. But Bristol is a really good track for me, so I might be there next week.
Any thanks you want to give for your tonight?
Yeah, thanks to I was with Kendall tonight, Kendall LeBron. He kind of helped me out in practice earlier. It's a shame that he got taken out early. Thanks to Rep Sports, Raise Energy, everybody on their team to help give me the opportunity here. And thank you guys for putting this show on. I'll definitely have to watch it back when I get out of here.
Well, congratulations on the run tonight, Timothy. Congrats on the win.
All right, thanks.
Timothy Latham takes the victory here tonight. Like to thank him and the rest of our top 3 for taking the time to speak with us during post-race coverage here on Grid Vision. In turn tonight, an absolute thrower to say the very least. What do you say about this one, Nick?
I'm going to go ahead and say it right now, Justin. Thriller is an understatement. That was... I'm running out of superlatives to help describe that race because it was absolutely wild what we witnessed tonight. And this just proves that Old Atlanta it should have been just repaved. They should not have reconfigured Atlanta to the super speedway. This is the greatest track I think I've ever watched racing on, and I am so sad that they decided to reconfigure to the super speedway. But sometimes things just have to come to an end, and no matter how good the racing was, it was getting too old for what NASCAR was wanting to do. So I'm sad that this place got repaved, but hey, we can still race it on iRacing, and sometimes it's just good to come back and see this place one more time.
But in turn, plenty of action coming up after this race here. We head off to the next schedule groupings because the Major Series heads off to the UK as they battle it out for the British GP at Silverstone. That's at 9 p.m. Eastern Time for the Major Series. Then on Sunday, it's the chase for the Autocross Cup. It's at Iowa. It's 3 of the final 4 races on short tracks for that series at 9 p.m. Eastern. Catch that once again here on Grid Vision. And on that note, it's time to say goodbye. For next time, for our producer, once again, Austin Jarvishar, I'm Justin Prince saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your evening. You've been watching the SSRL Truck Series from iRacing's virtual Legacy Atlanta Motor Speedway. Congrats to Timothy Latham, your winner from Georgia.